Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to give a few minutes for all of our attendees to join the Zoom, and then we'll get started. While we're waiting for everyone, we'd love to hear where all of our guests are from. So feel free to pop into the chat and let us know where you're reporting to us from. We've got Philly, my hometown, in the house. St. Louis, Missouri, too. Charleston, DC.
Oh, wow.
Quite the group. Atlanta, Roseville. A lot of our favorite store locations I see popping in. Dallas, Texas. Hi, Kellyanne. For those of you just popping in, we're just going to give it about a minute so that everybody has a chance to enter the Zoom, and then we'll get started. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just one more minute. We still have a bunch of people joining in right now. All right, well, it looks like we have a pretty large group here tonight. I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us for our home office and desk styling workshop. My name is Jessica McGuinn. I'm the marketing manager for events and experiences here at Anthro. And I'm thrilled to be here tonight with two of our amazing stylists from the home team. We have Honor Chan, who is our Atlanta home stylist, and we have Tom McGill, who is our senior brand stylist for home. And they're gonna walk us through some incredible tips and tricks for updating your work from home spaces tonight. So I'll pass it right over to you, Tom.
Thanks, Jess. Hi, everybody. My name's Tom, and as Jess mentioned, I am the senior brand stylist for home for our home office team. I am born and raised in New York City, which is where I am tonight in my apartment. I've been with the company for about 9 years, a little over, I think now, where I worked in our New York City stores before transitioning into the brand styling team with our home office.
Hi everyone, I'm Honor and I'm a home stylist based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Been with Anthropologie for about 2 years, and prior to that, originally from Hong Kong and Singapore, and then spent about 10 years in creative direction in California.
Great, all right, should we get started?
Really quickly, Tom, before we start, can I just share a few things with everyone about the Zoom tonight?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. So just so everyone knows, this is a Zoom webinar. So obviously you cannot see other attendees that are watching. You'll just be seeing Tom and Honor and our presentation this evening. However, we do have our chat open and our Q&A open. So we encourage you to be putting in any comments, any questions that you have, and we'll be answering them throughout the presentation. And hopefully at the end, if we have some time, we can answer any questions we didn't get to throughout. We'll also be popping links to all of the products that you're seeing as Tom and Honor go through the presentation. So just keep an eye on the chat. You can shop along with us as we go forward.
Great. All right. It's actually super fun for us to work on. We got so many requests submitted from you guys of your own home office setups. And while we couldn't get to every one of them, we did get to 4 of them that we'll spotlight tonight. If we weren't able to get to you, please feel free to go to our website and book an appointment. You can book an email consultation or a virtual appointment with Honor, with myself, or with one of our very talented home stylists, and they would be happy to help you revitalize or rework or just zhuzh your desk setup at home.
Love a good zhuzh.
Yes, so we've got all these wonderful submissions, and Tom's gonna start us off a little bit here. And Tom, I just want to call out really quickly. I love seeing all of these different types of spaces. Like we see some dedicated office spaces and also like some that are just like a small sliver of wall. So whatever your setup is, we're going to dive into how to work with different size spaces.
That we are. So let's get started with
Shawn's space. Shawn, are you on the call right now with us? I hope you are. So Shawn, I'm going to read out to everyone what you sent to us. Hi, Shawn. I love mid-century modern with a little bit of an edge, but also practical and warm. We moved into a new house a few months ago, so the room is still pretty blank, but I just started working from home and I need more storage in some place that's pretty and inspiring to spend my work hours in. So Shawn, looking at your space, what really struck me immediately was you definitely have this affinity for more of a monotone palette. So the black and the white, and your mid-century modern taste definitely reflects here as well. And so we're gonna show you the space that we put together with an anthropology take on how we would work with a black and white palette. So your mid-century modern pieces typically really focus on strong silhouettes. So as you see here, the Quincy desk featured really has those tapered legs and then those fine finishes like the brass drawer handles, but they're not really loud. They're pretty subtle and all the edges are super clean. And here I paired the Hagen Boucle chair to include a little bit more texture to the space, and continuing with that black and white theme, bring in the wood. This is actually an acacia finish, which I love because it's got that buttery warmth to it to really break up the black and white, keeping with that neutral palette, but making it a little bit warmer and just a little bit softer as well.
Yeah, I have to say, I love what you did with texture here. The boucle on this chair is stunning and so unexpected for a home office space. I'm such a fan of this super modern, super cool silhouette.
Yes, I have become such a huge fan of boucle as well. I think it really adds that really subtle texture to a space. And anytime you add texture, you're giving it more dimension and you're giving it a lot more visual interest as well. So here are the key pieces featured in this look. The Quincy desk with the Hagen Boucle chair and the Lemire AC hand-woven Takar rug. Personal favorite of mine, you can put this rug anywhere because it is made for high traffic areas. So if you, for example, didn't want to use this kind of chair and you wanted to use a chair with wheels, a rug like this will work really well because it can endure the back and forth of the wheels. And of course, if you've got pets, they can hang out with you all day as well here.
I love that.
And then the instant upgrades. This is probably one of my favorite things about what we're showing you today, because if you already have these key pieces and you just wanted to add in a little bit of layering, just give it the little anthro touch. These are the pieces we would recommend. A strong, bold piece of wall art sticking to the black and white palette. As you can see here, we're keeping with that really sculptural theme, playing with a negative space, just one really strong figure in the art. The concrete pencil holders, personal favorite of mine, super simple, super clean. The matte terracotta vase, again, very simple. And then the lamp, this is the Miodon also by Lemire AC. You have that conical shade, which just I think is really fun. And again, super modern, keeping a silhouettes bold and super clean.
This lamp is one of my favorites. It's super sculptural, as you said, but I love that just under the shade, it's actually brass.
Yes.
So the glow from your bulb is so much warmer. It's so unexpected, but it just like Honor's been saying about introducing warmth and texture into a space that's primarily black and white. There are so many unexpected ways to do that.
Totally.
I love that, guys. We have 2 questions about this look specifically. First, someone was wondering, is the boucle chair in terms of kind of feel, is it rough to sit on? Is it soft? What's that texture like of the fabric?
Tom, how would you describe it? I think that it's a tougher fabric, the boucle. Like I feel like it's definitely one that can endure a little bit more of like daily use because it is a tougher material.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's got some acrylic in there, which means it's going to stand up really well over time. But it's not, I'm wondering what they're thinking is if it's scratchy. It's not scratchy.
I think that's what they're going for. Yeah. So it's good to know if it's not.
Yeah, it's a really nice sort of soft nubby texture.
Perfect.
But then this chair also, oh, sorry, Jess. I was going to mention this chair also comes in velvet. So if the boucle texture is giving you a bit of a pause, just know that there is the alternative, which is a much smoother finish.
That's a great point. Someone else was wondering, we're loving this modern vibe, but they were wondering if we wanted to infuse color into a look like this, where would you guys suggest doing that?
Oh, so many ways to do it. I personally love doing, introducing color through wall art because it's really impermanent. So anytime you feel like it's time to maybe go for a color that's a little bit more in line with the season, you can easily take it down and put something else in there instead.
Great call. Yeah. And, you know, Honor's shown you a couple of vase options here. It's a great opportunity to throw in, whether dried or fresh, a really nice way to throw some color in there with some florals.
Those are great suggestions.
And then here are a few of our favorite things. For those of you who like to have all your desk ready with all your organizing tools, if you've got trinkets you need to store somewhere, we have a lot of those options on our website for desktop.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next submission. This was from Catherine. Catherine favors a boho style with some antiques, so lots of art and color. So looking at this space, I was really inspired. There's a lot of intricate carving, a lot of like natural woods. So to me, this spoke very much to a textured bohemian look. What I did here was I sort of lightened it up. So there are a lot of like natural wood colors in the space originally. We can still get some really great hand-carved wood in there, but we're doing this beautiful hand-carved Talia desk. This would actually also double really nicely in a transitional space as like an entryway console. It's wide enough for either. It's just a little over 4 feet wide. It's the right height, so it can be left on its own and you can store shoes under there, or you can bring in this swivel chair to make it your desk setup. I think a trap people sometimes fall into when they think bohemian is that everything has to be very neutral. And I don't feel that way at all. So I love to introduce color. So we have this really saturated blue rug here. This, like the rug that Honor chose in our first selection, is also a flat weave, which means it's great for high traffic if this is an entryway area where people are coming and going. But it also gives you a lot of color. It takes color really well, and it helps to ground that space.
Yeah, I love the blue rug. And Tom, is this the one that also comes in bright orange?
The rug comes in a sort of neutral color.
Okay, I probably am thinking of a different one.
Yeah, so it's almost like a very faded peach, but if you want something lighter, we do have that as an option as well. I want to point out this leather swivel chair. This is a different kind of swivel chair in that the base is stationary and then it's the chair itself, the seat itself that moves. You can also have this customized in a few of our other Winchester leathers, and this Winchester leather has an incredibly soft hand feel to it. It's almost like suede, so it is very nice to sit in if you have to sit in the same spot for 8 hours.
Yeah, and I do love that this chair doesn't have wheels. You made a really great point earlier when we were chatting that if you've got kids at home, then they won't be zooming throughout the home in your desk chair without the wheel.
Right. They stay in one place.
Right.
And then just for some instant upgrades to a space where you've already got your anchor pieces in there, you have your desk, you have your chair. I loved the texture of this rope woven lamp. It's also substantial enough that it can stand on its own on a console or on a desk. And it just really brings some gorgeous texture to the space. For boho style, what we think often is we think globally. We think of pieces that came from all over the world. So instead of your typical gallery wall of photos or wall art, we did woven baskets. These are all hand woven. They're all one of a kind, so they all look a little bit different. And you can group them in really interesting ways on the wall. It provides totally unexpected color and pattern there.
Tom, question for you there. Oh, sorry, I'm echoing. Someone was wondering if we could mix those types of baskets with traditional wall art. And I'm even thinking as I'm sitting here, I have this Anthropologie favorite behind me, and I feel like this would look amazing next to maybe even those two paired with it.
Absolutely. I love a mixed media gallery wall. So baskets, prints, and then maybe even mirrors.
Love it.
Captures the light really nicely. Yeah. I mean, the dirty secret is that the big rule is there are no rules.
My favorite rule.
Yeah.
I do love just looking at the photo earlier that the wall hangings using these baskets, it just tells such a great story. Like, you know, like you were saying earlier, Tom, the boho look is super global. So it tells a story of just travels, exploration, and discovery. And again, following the rule of following none.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was really inspired by Catherine's setup because she does have some, it looks like a woven wall hanging. She has a really interesting hand-carved frame. So I would love to see how all of those pieces could sort of work harmoniously.
Do you guys think, we had a question specifically about that rug. Someone was wondering what sizes it comes in. It comes in a variety. So we definitely have it in a 2x3, 3x5, 5x8, 8x10, 9x12, and 2.5x9. But they're wondering if that one is okay if you have a roller chair. So if the chair would be able to get over it. I think that it looks fine, but want to get your expert opinion there.
Yeah, it's pretty flat. I would recommend, and I always do, a rug pad underneath.
Smart.
That as you hit it, it's not gonna bunch up or anything.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. And then here are just a few favorites. When thinking of a more transitional space, I mean, I live in an apartment in New York City. It is not big. So I don't have like a full dedicated office space. So when I'm done with my work for the day, I'd like to be able to put everything away. So I don't like a lot of heaviness in my workspace, just stuff that I can easily swap in and out daily. So things like this calendar here that's really lightweight, these journals, and then pieces that do double duty. So this gorgeous onyx tray that can hold your pens and paper clips during the day, but can also, you know, is a great place to throw your keys or even your jewelry.
Okay, Alexis's space. I want modern and colorful with artwork. Alexis, are you here with us today? I hope you are, because we put together something really fun for you. So just really quickly looking at this photo, not sure if you have a ton of natural light. Gathering from this photo might have been taken in the evening, or if it was taken during the day, probably not a lot of windows in this space. And how perfect that you like color, because color is a really great way of opening up a space. And so we're going to show you what we put together. So this is our lacquered Regency executive desk together with our Eloine swivel chartreuse velvet chair. And I personally love a space that's super colorful, because anytime you introduce color, the space just feels brighter, even if you're not really letting in a ton of natural sunlight. And then to break up any space that feels extremely square or a little bit flat, the trick is to play with a gallery wall. And I'm sure you've seen Anthropologie's catalogs. If you've been to some of our stores, we love a good gallery wall for that reason, because it gives so much dimension to a space. And there is also a trick of how to create a gallery wall. As you can see here, we're deliberately mixing different colors and also different subjects. So different subject matters, you've got still life, you've got landscape, you've got portrait, and also typography art. So for those of you who are eager to get this started, you can actually go to our website and see that our art is already categorized in that way. And the colors are deliberately chosen here to play on the high contrast. So again, going back to Alexis's space, if you have very little natural sunlight, anytime you do high contrast colors, you're actually going to make it feel a little bit louder, just give everything a little bit more delineation. And for those of you here today who love a good feminine look, obviously the floral rug is a gorgeous choice for your space, and also a really unusual choice for a workspace, because this is fun, playful, whimsical, and all the things that you love about Anthro.
Honor, we have a question we've gotten from a couple people actually about this setup and one of the others. They're wondering what you can do if your desk isn't necessarily up against the wall. So maybe you don't have the opportunity for a gallery wall and you look out into a room. What would you maybe do like with the desk or the space behind you to kind of make that feel different?
Yes, so a few things. If you're not pushing your desk up into a wall, we would definitely look at whether you've got windows that you can play with window treatments. That adds in some layering as well. And of course, if that's not really an option, if you're open to using wallpaper, wallpaper is a great way of introducing pattern and color into a space. And of course, if you can do art on top of wallpaper, even more fun. But of course, depending on whether you have the wall space available for that.
I feel like wallpaper is making a comeback, so I love that tip.
Really is. I know. I would wallpaper everything, like my door, my ceiling, my floors.
I loved the suggestion for window treatments. That's such a great way to add texture and really soften a space, as you were saying. If you can't do a gallery wall, that's perfect.
Exactly. Textiles are always a good thing to introduce to add a little bit more depth to a space. Just to quickly review our key pieces here, the lacquered Regency desk shown here in the teal. It also comes in a rose, which is gorgeous. I love the chartreuse Eloine desk chair. I know that we made this in different colors too. I think we might be sold out in some of the other colors, but definitely check back with us on that. And this is the hand-woven Terran rug. Instant upgrades, going back to the art. Wall art makes a huge difference. And definitely if you don't feel confident curating your own gallery wall, that's what our stylists are here for. So myself or Tom, we can assist you with that. And of course we have local home stylists who are close to you as well that you can schedule appointments with.
Yeah, I love this. And I love what you said about the intentionality behind a gallery wall to really like consider diversifying your subjects and like giving the eye a place to rest with the Mon Amour piece, which is more neutral. And then you have the really saturated pieces. I think striking that balance was really nicely done.
Thank you.
We have one question about this one, guys. Someone's wondering, could that desk work as a vanity?
100%.
Yeah, but you know, it actually comes as a vanity. Like we have one that's called, I think it's called the Vanity, the lacquered Regency. It actually flips open and you can put jewelry in it. It's a really cool designed table. So it's got all the right storage for your little things like, you know, your creams and all of that.
I'm glad they asked that question. Now I'm dying to see the vanity.
Yes, you can use it as a vanity too. And then some of our favorite things, again, going back to, I think we got a lot of comments asking us about storage and organization. And it makes a huge difference when you are able to introduce some accessories to organize your stationery.
Absolutely. And I love how this just sort of carries through the theme of the really bold colors and patterns, but also bringing in some of that brass for a little bit of shine. Goes a really long way to like reflecting light.
Yes.
All right. So finally, we had Valerie's space. She wanted a space that she would enjoy working in. She mentioned mid-century modern and glam were aesthetics that she was interested in pulling into her space. And it turns out we have an artist collaboration we're working with that really inspired me when I was thinking about this. And that is our collaboration with Hotel Magie. Hotel Magique was started by Milou Nealon, a graphic designer. She did the art that you see here. And we'll talk about some of her other pieces as we get into the accessories. But what I love about this is it's definitely very mid-century. It feels a little bit like Matisse. It's very French, it's very sophisticated, but it's very sort of warm. So I wanted to pull in some of those graphic pieces and then really concentrate on some luxe materials for glam. So we have this swivel chair here that's upholstered in our very, very oh so soft, luxurious velvet. We're introducing a little bit of shine with this arc lamp on the table here. It has a really interesting sort of marbleized base that we'll see in a second. And then of course the brass base for the swivel chair as well, reflecting light and giving you a little bit of that mid-century glam as well.
Yeah, I feel like something about the black and the green just really evokes the mid-century vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. And paired with that sort of honey wood.
Yeah.
It all, yeah. But you know, again, it's a slightly updated take on mid-century vibe. You're not going to feel like you're on the set of Mad Men or anything. It still feels nice and light and warm. I pulled in this patterned rug in more of a neutral, but to stick with those cool tones and support the green in the chair there.
Tom, I really like what you did here because normally I feel like when we think about swivel chairs with wheels, we immediately think it needs to go with a really big desk. But here you've really shown us that it works just as fine with a smaller desk for a smaller space, and you can still create that aesthetic.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's all about playing with scale, and I think sometimes the things that you're not sure will work together actually work the best together.
Totally.
We have a question, I think that, you know, applies to that desk, but also a lot of our other desks. Someone was wondering if all of our desks are finished on all sides so that they can float within a room and still look as beautiful from all angles. And I would say completely, all of our desks are done. You know, that's the point, is that we want them to look exquisite from every angle that you're looking at it. So they're always finished.
Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead. And seeing, I mean, the wonderful thing about this desk, I can just go back to it for a second. You can't quite see it in the photo, but it has these gorgeous cast iron sculptural legs. So floating this in the center of a room, you're going to be able to appreciate it from all angles.
Perfect.
So again, some of our favorite pieces, just to give you a closer look in how you can sort of achieve that mid-century glam look. Again, you can see here, instead of your typical white and gray marble, we're doing sort of earth tones and a little bit of purple. So just everything that you'd expect, but with a twist. And then we have this beautiful textured planter here. I'm a big fan of plants where you work. Just nice to have a little bit of life there. It's an unexpected bit of texture and gives you some color. So especially as we said earlier, if it's a more monochromatic space, it's a great way to introduce color. And then finally, again, a little bit more glam for a dedicated office setup. I love the sparkle that comes with this brass cup holder and envelope sorter, these little trinket dishes. And then when you think mid-century modern, you think pretty bold, pretty graphic. So we're bringing that in with this pack of journals here. And then this really bold, almost like Matisse blue candle, which is great to have on the desk for a little aromatherapy.
Yeah, I am obsessed with that candle. And I think it's so great that you're reminding us to use candles because it's not something you typically would think of. But now that we're home all the time, I think the aromatherapy like helps us calm down and really focus, right, when we're working from our home office.
Absolutely. And, you know, candles, or there are plenty of really fantastic room diffusers out there. You don't want to worry about having something burning. That's a great alternative too.
I have to throw a note in there too. I know we recently released so many of our own by Anthropologie candles, and I picked up a new one when I was shopping last weekend. And I've never been the person to burn a candle during the day, but I love this candle so much that I started burning it every day while I'm working. And I have to say, it makes such a difference just to have that presence of something like joyful. It makes you feel good while you're working.
Yeah, it's a little extra like kinetic energy in the space, which is nice because I don't know about you, but by hour 6, I'm like, nothing has moved.
Totally.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So as we mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we weren't able to get to all of our submissions for tonight. If you're still interested in maybe seeing how your home office setup can work for you, please feel free to request an email consultation or book a virtual appointment with myself or Honor or any of our fantastic home stylists in the field. Jess, I think we have a little time for questions.
Yeah, I do have a few here. Someone just asked a great one, I think. So they want to know if you guys have any tips for designing a space that has to work for two people that are working from home. So whether maybe they have two full desk setups or someone's at the dining room table and someone else has a desk, what kind of like tips and tricks can you offer for people who have to navigate two different styles in one space?
Such a great question.
It's a tough one.
It is tough. I mean, I would say that it also depends on how much space you're working with. I feel like if you have the luxury of being in one dedicated home office space, like being in a second bedroom, there is a way to, I would deliberately create a space that is eclectic. Because that way, when there are differences in aesthetics, they don't look like they're clashing. It will look like it's deliberate. So the more differences you can introduce in design elements, differences in finishes, this actually, I get asked this a lot. Like, if I choose gold, does that mean everything needs to be gold? If I choose silver, does everything have to be silver? I always like to mix metal finishes, mix colors. You don't have to do a pair of everything. Deliberately play with asymmetry. So that way the space looks deliberately put together in a way that's not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be perfect.
I think that's a great answer.
I would also just consider what both of your work days tend to look like. You know, if you guys tend to be pretty quiet and you don't have a ton of Zoom meetings, you can work at the dining room table together and pretty harmoniously. But I know that my boyfriend and I will definitely have to switch out rooms sometimes depending on who's on a call or if we're on calls at the same time.
Fair enough.
Considering that if the dining room or the breakfast room or your counter is your main place of work for both of you, that there might need to be a secondary location for when those dual Zoom calls happen, because they happen.
Perfect. And Tom, it's funny that you mentioned the dining room table because our next question is specific to that area. Someone said they live in a one-bedroom condo, work from home, and use their dining room table as their office. They have a large monitor on the table and files that take up a lot of space. And they're just wondering if you have any suggestions for how to kind of make that dining room feel a little bit more organized for them for working from.
I would say to take a look at some of our storage solutions online. We actually have a full storage section under our home and furniture, and look for some like beautiful baskets. We have some that stack. We have some that close with a lid. So you really can, at the end of your day, put that away. Because, you know, I live in a one bedroom too. And I think I said earlier, at the end of the day, I want to put everything away. Because if I'm still looking at my computer, I'm going to say, well, I can answer this, or why don't I just get this done? And before you know it, it's 9 o'clock and you're still working.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to find a storage solution that'll work for you, where at the end of the day, your dining room table can still be your dining room table.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that if you can find a way to put things away, and if you don't even necessarily need to invest in storage containers, you could even look for, just to be playful with this, like look for boxes of maybe gift boxes and other things that you might have in your closet to organize all your files and just keep the space. I would keep the space not militantly organized, so that you give yourself a space to still make it feel lived in, because you will be using that desk for both things all the time.
Right. And we do have a little part two to that question. Because it's their dining room and the only light that they have is their chandelier overhead, they were wondering if you guys have any suggestions for lighting for kind of transitioning between home office and formal dining space, aside from a chandelier.
Sure. I mean, I'm not sure what your outlet situation is like, but I would consider like a more lightweight task lamp that you can move on for when you're working, that you can then, you know, move off maybe onto a console or a side table or something, but just so that so you have that light that's right there, which I think is really important. I think people really underestimate how important it is to have a light source right where you're working. That can also be moved away. So nothing super heavy, but something that's versatile.
Yeah, I think you can also find like lights to clip to your laptop, or the ones that the power source is your USB outlet that can just follow you. That would be a really easy portable way of controlling your lighting.
That's a good trick. I like that, Honor. Another viewer was wondering, this is a question for both of you. Do you have a favorite color that you think is appropriate for a workspace?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like when you work for anthropology, you just like all colors.
like all the colors.
And I don't know that there is one that's like best for work. I feel that I always tell customers this. Do you like to feel energized or do you like to feel focused? So if you like to feel energized, go for those bright primary colors. The moment you look at it, you're awake. It's like a shot of espresso. If you work by feeling serene and calm, go for the muted, softer tones, like your really soft mints, your blushes, and even like soft grays. So personally, I love teal. I will do teal anything, any day. So that's me. Tom, what about you?
I am wildly indecisive. So I like to keep my walls pretty neutral. I also rent.
I was about to say the same thing. This wall behind me probably wouldn't be pure white if I weren't renting, but yeah. Here we
are. And then swap out, as Honor mentioned before, swap out your wall art. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to introduce color, and then, you know, you're not stuck with it. You don't have to have like a painting day if a couple of years down the road you get tired of it. So I would introduce your color with your rugs and your wall art.
Perfect. That's the last question we had. So unless anyone else wants to pop in any thoughts or questions that they would like Tom or Honor to answer, I'll give it like 30 seconds. All right, I don't see anything coming through. So I think you guys did a great job of answering all the questions everyone had as you went through your presentations.
All right, if you guys have any more questions, just feel free to book an appointment.
Yes,
we're here.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you had a great time. We also have a number of other events coming up virtually as part of our Anthro Events Live program. So I'll pop a link into the chat so everyone can see those and hopefully RSVP and come back and join us for apparel styling, more home workshops, some artist features, and a lot of more fun stuff coming in the months to come. So thanks again for being here and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.